Welcome back, y'all, and happy Tuesday. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. Today, we're going to be talking about the transfer portal because it officially opened up yesterday. We have several players that have already entered in. I want to talk about the impact that it's going to play in the playoffs. Please do us a very big favor. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to start this off talking about Ohio State's players that have entered in. At this point, it's no one that I think is going to be any real impact to their team outside of Devin Brown, who is their backup quarterback. But Devin Brown has come out and said that he's going to stick with the team throughout the playoffs. So that is probably a good thing for them. But the thing about Ohio State is they might have the deepest quarterback room in the entire country. So while he is more of a veteran, I think that there are some players behind him that are probably better players. So if anything does happen to Will Howard, I think that they'll be fine either way. So I wanted to get that out the way, but let's go ahead and jump into our players. All right, y'all, these are the players that have either already entered into the portal or have come out publicly and said that they are planning on entering the portal. And I've got this thing split up based off of their impact to the team in the playoffs. And minimal doesn't mean that the players aren't good, because I think everyone up here is good. Minimal for me just means that they were further down on the depth chart and they probably would not have seen the field in the playoffs. Key players would be the exact opposite. Some of those players would have played a lot for us. Other ones would have been more depth pieces, but they could have gotten rotated in some critical situations. So let's start off with the minimal players. You will notice that they all have a star next to their name. What that means is that they're already in the transfer portal. And I didn't even realize that they were, actually in the portal before I put them in these different categories. So I'm not doing it to, try to spite them or anything like that. But we'll start off with Vyson Lang, who is a center, redshirt freshman. He was like third or fourth string at center. It does kind of hurt that he's going to be leaving us, but at the same time, he probably, wasn't going to be playing like we just talked about. But it could kind of hurt us a little bit in getting ready for these games, because you do need some players like this that can give a good look to the opposite side of the football. The next player is going to be Khalifa Keith, running back, redshirt freshman as well. He is already in the portal, and he was like fourth or fifth string as far as the running backs go. Same thing that we talked about with Vyson Lang. Really liked a lot of things about Keith, but at this point, we're going to be fine moving forward. I think even in the playoffs, that's probably not going to be a huge loss for Tennessee. Last player up under minimal is going to be Caleb Webb, wide receiver. He plays more on the outside, redshirt sophomore. I love Caleb Webb. I love his attitude. I think that he looked really good over the summer and in spring. He's been consistent. You can tell that he's been working, but he just has not produced enough on the field. So hate that all these players really kind of got buried on our depth chart. But we've got to move on. We've got to find some other players that can help this team out. And unfortunately, this does not feel like it was these players. But I wish them the best. I hope that they land on their feet. I hope that they go on to have very productive careers. Now, let's talk about the key players. Number one, Jalen Smith, linebacker, redshirt freshman. We talked about him before. He's not officially in the portal just yet. Now, he might be in the process of going through all of his paperwork and all that type of stuff. But whenever we first talked about Jalen Smith, like last week, we said, hey, this might be a situation where he just wants some more money. I don't know if the team has said, hey, look, we're going to give you some more money so that you can stick around or not. Really, best case for some of these players, I'm not going to necessarily say Jalen Smith, but best case probably would be to say, we're going to go ahead and let you go, but we want you to stick around for the playoffs, because he is somebody that we actually need on this team. He is our second leading tackler as far as linebackers go on this team currently. So he didn't start off playing very well, but as he started to pick things up, he has looked really good. I think he might be our second best linebacker, right behind Arion Carter, or at least he was. Again, we don't know if he's going to stick around for the playoffs or not, but I think that would be mutually beneficial if he says, hey, look, I don't know if I can play that much next season, but I do want to stick around and help this team win. And maybe the staff and the team and, everyone else can say, hey, look, we'll help you find a good spot. Because I'm going to tell you right here, right now, these college coaches talk a whole lot. It is a good thing if your coach has some positive things to say about you to the other coaches that can help him, maybe make some more money if that's what he wants to do, or get some more playing time, just land wherever he wants to land at. So we'll see what happens with that. I would say over the next week or so. Now, next player is cornerback Jordan Matthews, also a redshirt freshman. And he's one that we talked about before, that he is a good football player, but he's the fourth string cornerback. Tennessee throughout this season has really only rotated 3 cornerbacks in. So I do have him up under key, just because if something happens to anybody else, he would be a guy that I think Tennessee can trust to come in and play well. If it's not him, we're talking about having to move some guys from some different spots to kind of play in a position that they haven't really played that much this season, or we're talking about having to lean on some very young true freshmen. And that's not what you want to do in the playoffs going up against a team, especially like Ohio State, with all the great wide receivers that they have. So that one could be big. He's another one that I hope maybe will stick around throughout playoffs, because I know that he does love Tennessee, but at the same time, he wants to see the field. All these players want to see the field. And of course, everybody wants to make some money. This is a business at the end of the day. Last player up under key players are going to be Chaz Nimrod, wide receiver. He can play slot. He can also play outside. He is a redshirt sophomore. He's got great size, about 6'3", 220 pounds. He is a very, very good athlete. Okay, he's fast, he's twitchy, all those types of things. Hasn't been that productive this season, but he has played a pretty fair amount over the course of this season. So at this point, we do know that Squirrel White is banged up. I don't know if he's going to be able to go or not. Sounds like from everything that I've been reading that he probably will try to give it a go. But if he's not at 100%, then he's, I mean, that's just not a good look, right? I think the guys like Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, who are both, very young, true freshmen, but I think especially Mike Matthews, who we've seen more of this season, I think that he's ready for this moment, because, I mean, I think Ohio State might have finished in his top 3 or something like that before he ultimately chose our Tennessee Volunteers. The whole point right there, y'all, is that I think that he's going to rise to the occasion if his number is called on. I've seen him be, very, very consistent doing those little things, right? Like getting open, blocking down the field, just playing with that edge, being a dog. And he's going to be ready. Again, I think that Braylon Staley is another very good football player. Haven't seen him that much this year, but could he step up if we call on him? I think that that's very possible, but also we can move some other players to the slot position if we absolutely have to. I think that Brew could maybe play inside of the slot some. I think that obviously Dante Thornton, who's played in the slot before, maybe he could play there. Maybe even Chris Brazel, who has played some in the slot this season. We have some options, right? And then we've got some other players that maybe we trust to throw in there if we absolutely have to. But for me, this is maybe sort of a good thing, because I've talked a lot about that 12 personnel. I think Tennessee's going to stick more to the 12 personnel with those huge wide receivers on the outside. And, we just kind of stick to that running game, which is what you should do in playoff football anyway. And then, play action, throw it deep to these, big old tall wide receivers and tight ends. But also, if you're talking about putting Brew inside of the slot, man, the size and the strength and the power that we have across the board, not just with all the wide receivers, because we're talking about Brazel, who's 6'5", Thornton, who's 6'5", and then Brew, who's 6'3", like 225, 230. But then you've also got a tight end in there that's, going to be about 6'5", 240 and up. And all these guys can run, all these guys can move. So we're talking about maybe we could go to the 11 personnel with Brew playing at slot, and we could almost use him like a flexed out tight end. So I think that this actually could be a little bit beneficial for Tennessee, as crazy as that might sound to say to some of y'all. So we're going to be fine. I just wanted to kind of bring this to y'all and let you know that you might be hearing some more rumors about players potentially hitting the transfer portal. But understand this, all of our, key starters and things like that, Tennessee's not going to let them go unless they're asking for something that's just astronomical that we can't do. But I don't see that happening. I think that all the players, especially the ones that really play a whole lot, they want to win a national title with this team. That was the goal from day one. So we should be fine from that perspective. And as long as we're not losing, I would say too many starters, maybe not too many more depth pieces, especially at linebacker, then Tennessee is going to be fine moving forward in the playoffs. But those are my thoughts. Please share yours with me down in the comment section. And as always, please do make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.